In 4.2, one of the basic and first functions, quadratic functions that we're going to cover are vertex. Now, the vertex function is y equals a parentheses x minus h close parentheses squared plus k. So now we're going to start using different variables a, h, and k. For the intercept form, we're going to continue to use a, but it's going to be x minus p and x minus q. Now, first, we're just going to cover vertex form. In vertex form, it's y equals a x minus h in parentheses squared plus k. The h units is what's going to determine how many units you move horizontally. So those are your h units. The k unit is how much you're going to be moving vertically. Now, horizontally means sideways, vertically means up and down. This is a lot easier than 4.1 because your vertex is just going to be the h and the k. That's it. So if my vertex is hk, the axis of symmetry would have to be x is equal to h. The other part continues to be the same, where a is greater than 0, it opens up. If a is less than 0, it opens down. So looking back at that formula, y equals a x minus h squared plus k. If I gave you x minus, or actually plus 3, what would my h be? X minus, my h has to be what in order to make it a positive? It would have to be a negative 3. So the h would actually be a negative 3. So not because you see a plus 3 is it going to be positive. So really the shortcut would be that it's going to be the opposite. So let's do an example if that really doesn't make sense. So this is the first example we have. We have to identify a, h, and k. So my a would be 1/2. My k, once again, because it's x minus h squared, it would be x minus a negative 1, so it can become a positive 1. So my h is actually a negative 1, and my k is a negative 2. So if you see a plus, it's a minus. If you see a minus, it's a plus. A is greater than 0, so therefore this parabola opens up. I know my h and my k, so who's my vertex? Negative 1, negative 2. My axis of symmetry is going to be x equals negative 1. So once we put those two things on the graph, here is negative 1, negative 2. My axis of symmetry will be going through x is equal to negative 2. Sorry, a negative 1, because that's what your x is right there. Now, we're not going to do this bottom part. What I need you to understand is you are standing here, where x is a negative 1. You're either going to take one step to the right or one step to the left. If I take one step to the right, I have x is equal to 0. If I take one step to the left, I have x equals negative 2. You have to choose one. Let either x be 0 or x be a negative 2, because that's one step to the right or one step to the left, because we're trying to find the other point. So for this case, I'm going to choose x is equal to 0. So if x is equal to 0, that means I have to come back up here and plug it into this top equation. So y equals 1/2 parentheses 0 plus 1 squared minus 2. So let's go ahead and plug that into the calculator, or do it in your head, whatever you prefer to do. Once I do that, I go ahead and get a negative 1.5. I'm sorry if you can't see it, but it's a negative 1.5. That gives me my new point. My new point is going to be 0, comma, negative 1.5. I go ahead and graph this, and it's going to be right there. How far is this from there? 1. So then I have to go 1 the other way, and it's going to give me my point right there. That is more than enough for you to draw your parabola. Now, can you pick something further this way? Yes, you can, but the problem is more than likely it won't fit in the graph. So let's just say I chose x is equal to 4. If I substitute this with a 4, if I calculate it, I'm going to get a 10.5. So the point I'm looking to graph is 10.5. But would 10.5 for 10.5 fit here? No, it wouldn't. So you just did all this work for nothing because you can't plot that point. So this is why it's better if you just take one x variable to the left or to the right of the problem that you have. I want you to turn the page so we could try one just like this. So if you could actually go to checkpoint, first problem. So I need for you to find A, H, and K. You need to tell me which way this opens. I need to know who my vertex is. I need to know who my axis of symmetry is. And I would love to know who's the extra point. So let's go ahead and take the time to identify your A, H, and K. Your A would be a negative 1. Now there's not a number, but there's a negative sign, so it should be a negative 1. If there wouldn't be a negative, then it would be a positive 1. My H, because it's a negative 3, that means it should be a positive 3. And my K would be a positive 4. Because your A is negative, or it's less than 0, this is going to open down. What is my vertex? What's the H and K? And according to what we wrote up on the top, my H is 3 and my K is 4. Because my H is 3, that right there would mean that my axis of symmetry would be 3. So I could go ahead and plot this. So this is the easiest part right here. So we're going to go ahead and graph this. There's 3, 4. I'm supposed to draw my axis of symmetry. Now remember, you are standing here, where x is 3. If I take one step to the right, I'm going to be at x is equal to 4. If I take one step to the left, I'm going to be at x is equal to 2. Now, who do you want to pick? It won't make a difference whatsoever. It would not. So I'm going to go ahead and pick 2, just because. So if I pick 2, I substitute it. So negative 2 minus 3 squared, that's negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 times the negative out here, it's a negative 1 plus 4, that would give you 3. Because I chose to use x is 2, my point's going to be 2 comma, whatever I got, which is a 3. I go ahead and graph this point at 2, 3, because it's 1 unit away from the axis of symmetry. Then I have to go 1 the other way, and that right there is enough for you to draw your parabola. So you should be able to work on problems 4 through 9 from the worksheet, practice 4.2. 4 through 9. It's just the same. Follow the steps. Look for this. Which way does it open? My vertex, my axis of symmetry, my extra point. So if you find these 5 things that we're looking for, you should be fine.